And I would say with the little poem you put up there a second ago around daring, I would say from another book I read years ago, daring to be average is important. Because if you keep trying to be first and you keep thinking we're all stars, then we have no stars. If we're all stars, we have no stars. So daring to be average, just let go sometimes. You don't have to be great at everything.
So the question I wanted to ask you really was, what message would you like to give to clinicians about how to handle people who think that they're creative?
Well, simply encourage it. Really, what more do you want to say? I think the mistake people make also is that if you can't, people think you can't be one thing or another. If you have a depression or you have an illness, you can't possibly therefore be very bright at something. Is nonsense. But you need to encourage people, and if people come up with something creative, why would you stifle it? The trouble with some mental illnesses, I think, is that they are so depressing and so difficult for people to cope with that they lose their way and they lose their hope and they lose their impetus. And especially if they turn to street drugs, for example. And the biggest offender, in my view, is cannabis, which people think is a rather innocuous substance. I think I have maybe 100 cannabis users who have drawers full of unfinished screenplays and drawers full of books that they're going to write at some point, and nothing gets finished. But the cannabis is being smoked year on year on year. And so dampening creativity through self-medication is dangerous. So I would just say to people, be sensible, follow your heart, follow your dreams. And I quite like the line about you being complete as you are. I think many people who don't need more than they have in themselves. But if they find something special, why not encourage it?
And I think, in my mind, depression was all about crying and lying in bed and feeling bad. And when I was young, I saw these ads for depression on TV and it was people crying. And I realized my symptoms were, low frustration tolerance, inability to take decisions, inability to concentrate, and that I had gone along with these symptoms for so long till the point where I could just not do it anymore. And so it's kind of like that switch just flicked, and I left work. I left work. I said I like every other day I went into work. I went to my seat and I sat there, and I couldn't do it anymore. I just took my badge, and I had been at the same company for going on 18 years. They had almost taken on kind of a paternalistic role for me, but I left. I remember leaving, and I put my badge in the drop thing, in the security thing, and I went to occupational health, and I said, I'm signing myself out. I'm not well enough to work. And they're like, what's wrong? Do you feel ill? I said, yes, I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving. And I left. Cut to the chase, I think that depressive period of 14 months, I took time out, I went on stress leave, was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because had I gone back, had I been doing those things that I was doing before I got sick, I probably would still be unhappy. I probably still would not be able to cope. I probably still would be going through the motions. And as I described in the book, feeling emotions and feeling my life through foggy glasses. That's the feeling that I felt after this period of treatment, was that somebody took a cloth and just wiped away the screen, and food tasted better, colors were brighter, the world was nicer. I felt more kind and compassionate towards people. Everything changed for me after that period, and so I decided to do things quite differently after that, because, like I said, I had access to so much great care and all of the things that you're talking about, the talk therapy, being in a room with other people who've been through mental illness, being in a room with people who have taken their own life, having that gratitude, having compassion, and doing things for other people, becoming an individual who wasn't just walking around judging people and seeing the world through their own sort of narrative of victimhood, but kind of saying, it's not about me, it's really about humanity and doing things for other people that brings you happiness. So I completely shifted my way of thinking through that therapeutic period. And I think I definitely am a completely different person than I was. I approach life quite differently. I'm not afraid of being average. I'm super happy to be average, averagely successful, average, but I work in happiness, and I'm not trying to reach some goal to compare myself to my peers or other people. I'm in my own lane, and that's just a little bit about